Hi everyone, we're back again here in the kitchen, getting ready to install a upper cabinet right over here on this wall. Uh, as always, we're gonna still try to show you kind of how we got to where we're at before we do the install, just as a way to kind of help you maybe sort some of those things out. For a lot of people who watch these videos, could just be a homeowner looking at it. A lot of what we did here was not super official for that reason. Much of what we did here you could do with a level, jigsaw, tape measure, a drill gun, and a few other basic tools that are really easy to get. So we'll quickly show you kind of how we got to this point here and a couple different ways that you could get there. Right off the bat, I do want to show you this piece of equipment right here. For a lot of times, if you're doing professional grade work, you can go pick up a laser level, usually between $350 and maybe $750, depending on what you're looking for. I would suggest that you really do your research on it. Get one that can do not only your horizon view, but also your vertical view on that. It comes in real handy, especially when you're hanging cabinets, doing tile work, whatever. It's a great tool to have if you're planning on doing a good amount of work. So how we got to where we're at with this over here is we actually just took this laser level. We set the bottom of that laser off the bottom of that cabinet there, the horizontal line. And then to try to get it to the same height over here. Now, what we did is once that's leveled, you can go ahead and strike a little line here. Throw up a quick little batter board. It doesn't have to be a whole lot. Something easy enough for you just to set the cabinet on while you're screwing it in place so somebody's not trying to herc it while you're trying to level it. You can easily just use two 2-inch drywall screws. It's not a super heavy unit, at least for us it isn't. Toss those in there real quick, just get that solid and level for yourself there. And then after we did that, hold on one second guys, push up this window. So after we did that, we also took a laser line level off of the side of this cabinet down here. And so this cabinet right here is the end of this line of cabinets here. And if you can make it work to where it looks good, it's good to try to line stuff off of what you have there. Because for somebody looking down the line, they can see those lines line up. It goes really nice looking. And right here, because we had this nice little space between the window here, we just decided, boy, it would look really nice to go ahead and just take that upper 36-inch cabinet, line it right up with this one here, leave a nice little space in between here so you can see some color on the wall, and then also leave a nice little space here too for some color on the wall. It can kind of look nice, in my opinion. So that's where we got this line. Now don't worry though, if you don't have a laser level, nothing to worry about. There's a really easy way for you to get your line all the way from that wall over to here. One way you could do that, and what I actually did is I did the same method up here on this line at the top, which Chris will show you. This line up at the top, we got this by taking the level all the way over there on the cabinets on top of the fridge there. We set the level on top of that cabinet, and you just take a few marks, bring them down that wall when it's level, and what will happen is you can just wrap that right around to the other side of the kitchen. Sure, it takes you a little bit longer, but you'll be pretty darn close to where you need to be. Chris and I tested it with the laser. Chris and I tested it with the laser, and we found that this line was only a 1/4 inch off of those cabinets over there, and no one's ever going to notice that. Now, the longer the room you have to go, I would suggest at that point you probably do go ahead and get a laser level. Mainly just because if you get much further than what we did here, your level can kind of get going out of whack. But for a standard size kitchen, your typical kitchen, let's just say, that's an easy enough way to get there, totally fine. Now, if you're trying to line off the bottom of these cabinets too, there's a really pretty easy way to do that as well. You could just take your tape measure, and I'll show you real fast how you would do that. You could just measure off the side of your counter to that line there, then go up here, measure off of that line, put it on the wall there, and take your level and just shoot a line up. Will it be perfect? No, it won't. But will it be good enough that nobody will notice? Yes, it will. I mean, you might be only off like an 1/8 inch to a 1/4 inch. Once again, it's very difficult for somebody to see that way. So it's nice to know that you can either buy a laser like what we have here and make it easy on yourself that way if you have a really good use for it going down the road, or it's actually pretty close to the same level of easiness in my opinion, just to go ahead and do it the way that we showed you there. So without further ado, our next step is we're going to go ahead and get this cabinet ready to mount on this wall. It's a really good idea to know where your studs are going to be inside your cabinet. If you can imagine trying to throw this thing up on the wall here and trying to figure out where this stuff is, the way your eyes can kind of play tricks on you, you might be an inch away from that stud and have a bunch of holes in your cabinet. We don't want that for you or for ourselves. So what we do is we mark both those sides, we find out where our stud is, we go from that line to our stud, and then we can use some simple math to figure out where that's going to end up in the box. So one thing that you should note real fast here on your cabinets is a lot of times your cabinets have a little bit of overhang on this main face versus the actual side of the box. This can trick people up a lot because this overhang on this part of the face is a 1/4 inch away from this side panel here. So when you're going to measure the inside of your box for where you're going to hit your studs, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to measure not only from this end in, but also get that included. And what you find is we've got 3/4 of an inch, okay? Why this is significant or important for us is so that way we can figure out how much to subtract from that amount to that stud to find out where it's going to be in the box. So we subtracted the 3/4 inches from the total from that edge to the stud, which was 3 1/4 inch. After we subtracted that out, I believe we ended up with 2 1/2 inches. Now, if you're not really super good at doing fractional math and everything like that, don't worry. You can get a construction calculator still for pretty cheap, or you can find a free one usually online with your phone, and you just could toss that in there real fast and figure it out. I apologize offhand if I went 2 1/2 and it was supposed to be another number. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, but we'll go from there. So what we did is once we subtracted the 3/4 of an inch from our total distance from the outside edge to the stud there, we were able to go inside the box, put our tape in there off the inside wall there, and then just go ahead and put a line there where you're going to put that screw. My suggestion before you even get into this is, ideally how this stuff looks inside your box, in my opinion, is pretty important. I mean, you open it, this one will probably be open pretty consistently. It's right by the fridge. They'll probably have cups and things up in this. So I like to make sure that when these cabinet screws go in there, they're nice, they're lined up, they got a kind of good look to them in there. So what we did is we came about 1 1/2 inches off the bottom of the cupboard. So that way we have kind of enough room between the bottom of the cupboard and that screw head to get a really good mounting zone there. So to me, I feel like it's really nice when you open up a cabinet and everything looks pretty darn centered and sweet in there. So that's why we did that. All right, guys. So we're back over here with the cabinet that we just put up on the wall. What we did is Chris held it up on top of that little batter board that was there. It's nice to have that batter board there so the back doesn't just keep sliding down the wall. From there, I was able to get my first screw in that preset hole, and then the next screw in that second preset hole there. And I'm just going to show you real quick kind of how you can, kind of quickly work through that. Keep in mind too, we're about 1 1/2 inches to 1 inch off the bottom of that part there. One thing I did not mention about that is another reason why you want to be up that high is because when you go to try to get your screw gun in there and get a nice flush push with your screw, it's nice to have enough clearance to make sure you're not having to cock that screw gun this way. That's how you can end up with a lot of stripping on your screws. So we're going to hop up in here, and don't mind I put my feet on the counter here. Sometimes you have no choice. We're going to get up in here, mark our first line, just real fast in there. It's worthy to note too that we've already tested this for level and plumb. So this set all the way against the wall is plumb. This set the way that it is already level too, by the way. So it's good for you guys to know that right off the bat. So there we got that. Now we're gonna get our next hole going. We're about 1 3/4 inches off of that one, right there. So you can just pop your tape up in there. And you don't have to be, if you want to be like machine perfect with how far it is away from there, you can. I usually just use one of these almost Fat Max style tape measures. It's got a really nice wide tape on it. That's usually good enough as far as what I need is, you know, about 1 inch, maybe sometimes 1.25 inches when you're kind of coming down off it. So, but you could use a square or something if you wanted to as well. Okay. So from there, we're gonna go ahead and get our drill bit. I would suggest when you use a drill bit, you want something that's gonna be wide enough for that screw to kind of clear through, but not so wide that, I mean, it's like this huge wallered hole. You know, for this one, this is what it calls for. This right here is a 5/32 bit. So we've got both of our holes marked. I know it could be difficult to see there, so give me one moment. I'm actually going to come back with a nice little red marker to show you guys where I'm at. Here, and I'll just put this mark up here so you can kind of see where we ended up there. And if you're doing this with these markers, boy, don't get too crazy with it. Just a quick little dot's all you need. You want to be able to cover that with your screw. So we're going to get in here and we're going to set, in my mind, I like to set my drill bit right on that hole. And then you're just going to start slow, okay? Chris is going to try to get around to show you. Set your drill bit right on that mark and start slow. Once you're happy with where it's going, just try to hold your screw gun as level as you can and go from there. Now, you don't have to reef this all the way through the wall, and I wouldn't suggest it either. Because the reason why you don't want to do that, your only goal was to get through this box, so that way you wouldn't chip it out when you're putting this screw through, and also so it could guide that screw in. But what we really want is we want for this screw to hit that stud behind there with literally no hole already in it, so we get a really nice, tight, strong fit. So that's what we're going to do there. While we still got this bit in, we might as well grab this hole too. So and just a quick, like I said, you'll know when you get through there, you'll feel it.